With this week, I count 10. So I hope you made the last 9 weeks count. All the anticipation, all the energy led up to tonight. So if you're clinging on to a playoff berth or clawing at that possibility or craving a positive ending, you have to win this week. At least 4 teams are claiming a conference title tonight, and the last week of the regular season is coming at you next on Gridiron Glory. Close the book on the 2018 regular season tonight, and for many of our teams, tonight's games were the last of their season. But we're here to celebrate as many as we can. I'm your host, Blake Baker, and of course, co-host Noah Wolf is riding shotgun.
Yeah, and Blake, what an exciting week to be along for the ride. Yeah. I mean, we've got conference championship games on the line. We've got playoffs on the line. It's all happening this week.
It is. This is the big one. We led up to it before, and there's a possibility that 4 teams from the Muskingum Valley League can make it to Week 11. One of those teams is the Tri-Valley Scotties. MVL reporter Nick Ursini joins us live from Dresden.
Blake, there's a chance the Scotties are clinging to the last possible spot. They're clinging to the last possible spot in Region 7. So they need a win tonight versus Maysville, plus a little bit of help if they're going to make it to the Week 11. Senior night at Jack Anderson Stadium tonight, and the Scotties trying to earn their way to Week 11. After trading possessions, the Scotties work the ball down the field, but Jordan Pantaleo takes the sweep, makes a few men miss, makes some moves, and to the end zone, 7-0 Scotties, 5:33 left in the first quarter. After forcing the third 3-and-out for Maysville, quarterback Luke Fargus rolls left, throws a bomb, and Carson Simpkins comes down with it for 33 yards, touchdown, 14-0 Tri-Valley still in the first quarter. Ensuing Scotties possession, they're driving yet again, but Pantaleo is stripped, and Kyler Hooper jumps on it for Maysville, but he's unable to capitalize. Next Scotties possession, Fargus hits Drew Reichert on the out pattern. He gets tackled at the 25. A 4th and 23 from the Maysville 23 from the 29. Too far from a field goal, but not too far for Fargus. He connects with Aiden Fritter. That's a touchdown, 21-0 Scotties. Next Tri-Valley possession, driving down the field once again. Blake Sands goes untouched from 2 yards out, and that is it. 28-0 Scotties win, and they win a share of their 8th straight MVL title, Blake.
So the Scotties get it done when they need to. No surprise. 8 straight titles for the Dogs, Nick. What did it tonight for the Scotties?
Blake, I know you're going to hear this one. I know you're going to hear this one a lot, Blake. But the rain was ruthless tonight. However, both teams still had to play through it. Quarterback Cole Tompkins was 2 of 5 with 18 yards and only had 150 total yards of offense. No matter what they tried, running, passing, trick plays, they were not working. They did not pick up their first down until 6 minutes left in the first half when they punted the ball. The wind and the rain held it in the air and it went nowhere, giving Tri-Valley short field position. Even though the Scotties' offense was not moving the ball constantly, their defense came up big when they needed to. This one could have easily been a bigger score, but the weather limited both teams. It just limited Tri-Valley less.
Nick, at the end of the day, the Scotties came in tonight sitting in the last possible spot in their region. Did they secure a spot in Week 11 with this win?
Blake, as of 11:25, Joe Idle has the Scotties in the 7th spot, and with that, they would travel to Barberton, which is southwest of Akron. The Magics are averaging just under 38 points per game, and their defense is letting up 14 points per game. And the Scotties, they're no strangers to playing the role of the underdogs. We saw that last year. But with that being said, they're still going to have their work cut out for them. But Blake, it is the playoffs, and you know anything can happen.
Thank you, Nick. Get home safe tonight, man.
Thanks, Blake. That's all I got for here, man.
Our season lasts 3 weeks after the regular season, but our video content lives forever. And you can find it on YouTube. WOUB PBS has the Gridiron Glory page. All your favorite videos from this season, whether previews, recaps, power rankings, old episodes, all of it. They're on YouTube. So check us out. Even though the season is winding down, you can find those videos anytime you want. Week 10 is a big week for a lot of the MVL teams, and one of those teams tonight is the Sheridan Generals. MVL reporter Rebecca Markovitz is here to tell us what was on the line against Morgan tonight.
Two things were on the line for Sheridan tonight, an MVL championship and a playoff spot. This game was a must-win in order for both of those to happen. It was also senior night for the Generals, and boy did the seniors show up tonight. Sheridan's first drive, Isaiah Austin takes the handoff, and it's a 20-yard touchdown run. It's 7-0. Morgan goes 3 and out, so Sheridan has the ball again, and 8 plays later, it's Austin again who takes it into the end zone. It's 14-0. Morgan gets their first down, but the drive is stopped with this 29-yard pick six by Daniel Miller, extending Sheridan's lead 21-zip, and he is pumped. Morgan goes 3 and out again, and with less than 3 minutes left in the first quarter, third time's a charm, Austin runs 15 yards to put Sheridan up 28-0. Morgan's forced to punt, so Alec Ogle gets the punt return and turns on the wheels. He says, "See ya," and takes it 69 yards. It's 35-0 seconds into the second quarter. Morgan has one of their longest plays of the first half. Wesley Pauly runs it for 15 yards, but a play later, Nick Rinaldi kills their drive with an interception. So Sheridan goes 3 and out for the first time, and Morgan has the ball, but fumbles it, and it is recovered by Adam Boyle. And Sheridan takes this one to the bank, 68-7.
So unfortunately for Morgan with this loss, it's the last game of their season.
Yeah, they finished out their conference play 1-7, and for 13 seniors, this was their last night stepping onto the field as a Raider. One of those seniors is their leading running back, Wesley Pauly, who had 49 rushing yards tonight.
And on the other hand, though, Sheridan's in the playoffs.
They are, and Coach Culver must be proud. Before the season even started, he told me their goal was to compete for an MVL championship and advance in the playoffs. So according to Joe Idle, Sheridan has unofficially claimed the 6th seed in the playoffs.
And along with that, Sheridan will also share an MVL title with Tri-Valley.
They will. And there are 18 seniors on this team where sharing the MVL title is something that they're familiar with. Sheridan shared the MVL title 2 years ago with Tri-Valley and Philo, and that same year they went to the playoffs with Dylan Dupler as their quarterback. This year, Ethan Heller will lead the Generals to the playoffs. Him and other 17 seniors definitely had an impact on the team. Coming into tonight, Ethan Heller had 315 rushing yards and over 1,600 passing yards. Jacob Rhodes had just over 900 receiving yards and over 100 rushing yards. Cole Casto had over 300 receiving yards, and Isaiah Austin had over 100 rushing yards. Looking ahead to the first round of the playoffs, Sheridan could be facing Granville, and with that, a familiar former MVL face, Coach Buttermore.
Thank you, Rebecca. Philo and New Lex are 2 more MVL teams that faced a must-win scenario tonight. Noah, do you have more details on these playoff hopefuls?
You know I do, Blake. 2 teams fighting for that playoff spot, just like you said. New Lexington took on the Electrics of Philo. Both were looking to win and survive and make the playoffs, and Joe Hennessy saw it all.
Yeah, Noah, it was a rough start for both teams, but it's late October. The players, coaches, parents, reporters on the sidelines, we are all cold, and a game can become stagnant. But Philo was able to heat things up after the half. It was rainy, it was cold, but the cheerleaders kept cheering, which means football was being played. First play of the game. Aaron Phillip, 13-yard gain up the middle. He's sending a statement there that they're going to run it heavy. That drive would stall. With 3 minutes left in the first, Logan Ratliff finds Christian Vance over the middle, takes the shot, shrugs it off, and here's the crazy play. Phillip muffs the snap, runs left, runs right, goes back left up the sideline. 63 yards later, he would find the end zone. Philo's up 6-0. Panthers defense still tough though. Look at this shot. Ratliff playing cornerback. Pop right there. What a hit. Alrighty. Ratliff showing off the wheels on offense. Up the middle, 11 yards, first yard run. Didn't go anywhere though. Next drive, under a minute. Phillip gets batted, loses it, gets the interception. New Lex trying to take advantage. Casey Munyon trying to get the defense. Pass breakup 1, pass breakup number 2, and this one would have been to the house, all that open field right there. Pass breakup number 3, not exactly what he wanted. It gets tipped up again, and CJ Ratliff in the back of the end zone, tiptoes, makes it in, 13-yard touchdown for the Panthers. Philo finds a way to win 21-6, and New Lex gets knocked out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, that game was a defensive battle. That's a tough loss for the Panthers, and like you mentioned, they're eliminating from playoff contention after this one.
Yeah, but they play tough. They were flying around on defense. They were shutting down Casey Munyon in the first half. He was trying to get around them with his speed, but they were swarming the ball.
But Casey Munyon did end up getting the last laugh.
Yeah, he broke off for a 65-yard touchdown run to open the second half, but if he hadn't have made that huge run, he would have ended the game with only 51 yards. Phillip was the same way. If he hadn't had that 63-yard touchdown, he would have ended the game with 35 yards. And who knows how differently that game would have ended.
And thankfully, if you're a Panthers fan, your backfield isn't graduating.
Yeah, exactly. Ratliff, only a sophomore this year. So he got some very valuable experience on the field playing quarterback. And Vance, he's a junior. His senior campaign could be a good one. He is a stud for this team. 6 foot, 180-pound running back that can run you over and get shifty. And the same goes for Philo. Unfortunately, they lose Phillip, who simply is an athlete. He plays quarterback, but he is a huge threat on the ground. They get Munyon back, and he is going to be good. Watch for his name next season for Gridiron Glory Player of the Year. And their starting quarterback comes back, Hunter Adolph, after his season-ending injury. And according to Joe Idle, both teams didn't make the cut. Unfortunate week for fans. But these teams had a really good season. Next year could be a really good one for these MVL teams.
Yeah, I'm sure fans don't really like to hear that they didn't make the playoffs, but there's always next year to look forward to. Thanks, Joe. Hey, our coverage of the MVL doesn't stop at those 3 games tonight. A few weeks back, I went down the road to check out one team's unique game day tradition.
For the Crooksville High School football team, game day starts in the classroom. The first grade classroom.
We've been reading to them since week 1, and now we walk in here and we go to pretty much the same classroom each week.
The home boys are good, aren't they?
We read the home boys and Sloopy the Silver Snake, and the message was to prevent bullying and how to be a nicer person.
Well, I think the books we read send a good message too.
But these players offer more than a moral message.
You see the football players walking around, you're like, I want to be in their shoes one day. I can't wait.
It also gives them some type of personal connection. Like they go to Friday night football nights, so when they see their Friday night football heroes out there on the field, they can say, oh, well, so-and-so was in my room today.
Yeah, the Snakes got the trophy, but they felt bad for it, huh?
You hear the term student athlete, so student needs to come first, so you need to show these kids that reading is important, that your education is important, and then the fun can come second.
They not only learn education is important, but inclusion too.
And it's just kind of nice to show the girls that, like, you are important and that, like, you are here too. You need to support them, you need to be with your community and get everyone rallied up.
That sense of community is instilled not only in the kids, but also the players.
Like, I know they look up to us, and we want to make them proud, play for their community on Friday nights.
Crooksville's not a very big town. We take pride in being, the community.
And while it wasn't exactly a season to remember for Crooksville, those elementary schoolers have something that they'll never forget. Hey, and as long as we're talking about reading, why don't you head to our woub.org/gridiron. There you can find all sorts of articles to read. We have recaps of every game we've covered this year, and if you stop by during the week, you'll find a written preview to get yourself ready. So check it out. One more time, that's woub.org/gridiron. Now, Week 10 is known as Championship Week in the TVC Ohio. It's come down to the same 2 teams 3 years in a row. And TVC Ohio reporter Thomas Garverick was there to see the title game go down.
Yeah, no, this game was so massive, and the Joe Burrows, the shot of him just cut away. But he was there tonight. He's an alma mater of the Athens Bulldogs. They could clinch the league title outright with a win. With the Buckeyes, they share it, though, if they beat Athens tonight. So a lot on the line. TVC Ohio Game of the Year. Clay Davis, Keegan Wilburn. This game is a moment they live for. Things don't start off well for Wilburn and the Buckeyes. Bad snap. Wilburn can't fall on it, but the Bulldogs, they do. They take over. They're knocking on the door. 4th and goal now. It's Davis, and he's going to will himself in. Takes the snap. He's in for 6. 7-0 Bulldogs. But things looking up for the Buckeyes next drive. Wilburn, he takes a direct snap, gets to the right edge, takes this thing 16 yards, his longest run of the night. And then he's going to cap it off here with a score himself. 7-all. Buckeyes, they're loving it, but Wilburn would leave this game due to injury. He would not return, and that's when things kind of fell apart for the Buckeyes. Seals worn out for the pass. His ball is deflected and then picked off by Justin Hines. The big man dancing in the 6. 21-7 Bulldogs. And then the next drive for Mikey Seal and the Buckeyes. We're going to slow this thing down for you because Nate Trainer's going to come in and undercut the route. He picks it off. The drive goes nowhere, and just a tough night for Keegan Wilburn and the Buckeyes, and things get a little worse as Evan Adams, he finds himself here so often. He gets in for the touchdown. Bulldogs, they win 49-14 in the TVC Ohio title.
Man, Tommy, Athens just ran through the rest of the Ohio this year.
They were absolutely unbelievable. They left no doubts why they were the premier team in the TVC Ohio this year. And the rain led to a heavy game script, Noah. But don't get me wrong, it was the Athens front seven that was the difference tonight in this season. Obviously, the Woburn injury was massive and a tough blow, but that doesn't take away anything from this Bulldog team.
Yeah, the talk of the offseason for the Bulldogs was getting over the Buckeye hump, and they delivered.
Yeah, this team was hungry, Noah. All the way back from our media day, I remember them telling me how much they loved it. Not to mention, this was a must-win for both teams to get in, and the Bulldogs, they punched their ticket to the playoffs. So a huge night for the Bulldogs, Noah.
Yeah, champions of the Ohio and maybe a trip to the playoffs. I would agree with you, Tommy.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy that a few weeks ago, Jacob Murray mentioned on the show that the Bulldogs' chances were looking a bit bleak, but a few slip-ups from teams ahead of them, and what do you know, the Bulldogs are in.
Some good fortune for the Bulldogs has them playing one more game. Who could they be seeing next week?
They're most likely looking at Bishop Hartley, a team who beat a team in our coverage, Chillicothe, earlier this year, 49-14. So the Bulldogs, they have a tall task ahead of them, Noah.
But hey, all that matters is the Bulldogs are in, and they'll be part of the playoff party. Good to have you, Tommy. From the champions of the Ohio to the champions of the Hocking, here's Blake and Sam in the Highlights Center.
Yes, thank you, Noah. Let's move over to the Hocking, where Gridiron Glory reporter Sam Wiesnith saw the Wahama White Falcons play the hottest team in the Hocking.
That's right, Blake. I headed out to Gloucester tonight to watch the Trimble Tomcats take on the White Falcons, and in typical Trimble fashion, they delivered a show. And here we go. The Tomcats are getting hyped with some Tomcat pride before hitting the field. Trimble starts with the ball. Second play of the game, the one and only Connor Wright breaks away from the flock of White Falcon defenders for a 58-yard touchdown, only 19 seconds in the game. The Tomcats are up 7-0. Wahama's going to keep Trimble on their toes. Don't blink, you might miss it. Wahama picks up the fumble, but later in the drive, take a look at this. Todd Flouts is going to pick off Abram Pauly's pass, putting the Tomcats back in possession of the ball. Now Cam Kittle knows exactly what to do. He hands the ball off to Connor Wright, who muscles his way through the pack and finds the end zone. Tomcats still in the lead, 13-0. Wahama finds themselves in a tough spot and are forced to punt. Senior Max Hooper's in the right place at the right time. Look at him go. He's going to take the ball about 65 yards for another Trimble touchdown. What a way for him to celebrate senior night. It's the second half now. Connor Wright gets himself a little break, but he's gearing back up to put some more points on the board for the Tomcats. Now that he's back and ready for action, Kittle gives him the ball once again. He's going to take it a quick 4 yards into the end zone. This trend lasted all night long. Tomcats take this one 58-0.
Man, another game where Trimble just ballooned the score up. But I think it's even more important to point out that they kept Wahama scoreless.
I completely agree with you, Blake. Trimble's defense has been dominant all season. Check out some of these clips. The entire time we were at the game, we didn't see Wahama make it past the 50-yard line. At times, it seems like Trimble was pushing them back farther than they could keep up with. The White Falcons were forced to punt on almost every drive, and the ones they didn't, Trimble had an interception.
Now, I know we talk about him a lot, but Connor Wright has been huge for Trimble's offense. Can you put that into perspective for us?
Well, Blake, tonight specifically, he had 10 carries for 155 yards, and he racked up 4 touchdowns.
Another incredible night of incredible numbers. There's no surprise Trimble has finished up the regular season at the top of the Hocking.
That's right. They're the newly crowned TVC Hocking champs for the first time since 2015, and that's thanks to both the offense and the defense. Tonight was their 7th shutout of the season, including all Hocking teams except for Waterford. The Tomcats averaged 47 points per conference game.
Sam, they've done some great things in the Hocking, but what are you expecting in the first round of the playoffs?
Well, I think we'll see the same dominant team we've seen all season. They've made it to the second round of playoffs every year since 2012. It looks like they're going to face off against either the Green Bobcats or Fisher Catholic. Blake, momentum is definitely on the Tomcats side.
Well, Sam, either way, it looks like it's going to be an interesting first round for the Tomcats. Thank you a lot for the good work. Trimble's always bringing the running game. Well, this week, Caleb Rogers brought the snap game. He sent in both snaps of the week this week. First, he gives us a studious-looking picture of quarterback Clay Davis, and then a better one, TVC Ohio champion Clay Davis. Caleb, thank you for the snaps, and congrats to the whole Athens Bulldogs on a conference title. Now, even though the Hocking Conference champion was just crowned, other teams in the Hocking squared off tonight, and for one team, it's basically win or go home. We sent Nick Niehaus out to Waterford as they squared off against third-place Belpre.
Yeah, Belpre needed this win tonight to keep their playoff hopes alive, but Waterford has already locked their spot in the playoffs, but you bet they want to spoil those Golden Eagle hopes. Now here's the man of the night, Braden Belleville. He needs 25 yards to break the all-time rushing record in Waterford, but Belpre has the ball, and here's Connor Baker, finds Logan Adams on 4th and 4, gets 5 yards for the first down, keeping their drive alive, and 24 yards out, Tyce Church nails this one to make it 3-0. Now Waterford gets the ball, and Belleville gets the pitch on the right end and gets 6 yards, which is 1 yard enough for the record. Mr. Belleville, he is your all-time yards leader in Waterford. Their drive's still going, though, and Peyton Stephen finds Nick Faust for 15 yards to keep their drive alive and sets up this Zane Heiss 1 yard touchdown rolling out right. He calls his own number into the end zone. That makes it 8-3. Belpre gets the ball back, and Connor Baker, he calls his own number. Running on the right end, and check this out. He gets pushed out late, turns 6 yards into 32, and sets up this Jesse Collins 9-yard touchdown run, taking 2 Waterford defenders into the end zone. That makes it 11-8. But Belleville, 130 yards on the night, and here's 30 of them. Getting great field position in the red zone, setting up Zane Heiss once again. A little trickery on this play. Fake pitch gets Peyton Stevens jumping out of the backfield, takes it in 9 yards out for the touchdown. They win this one 24-17, and I was able to catch up with Braden Belleville at halftime where he reflected on his accomplishment.
It means everything. Everything I've been striving for the last 4 years, and it's a team accomplishment. And without them boys up there, I wouldn't be able to do it, and I appreciate every one of them. I thank God for one, too, and I just appreciate the opportunity I got.
He said it. It's an accomplishment, an amazing one, but I want to get back to the game. This one was close.
Well, it was extremely close. It came down to a Belpre fumble with 3 minutes left in the game for Waterford to seal the deal. And I know that penalties hurt every team, but they really were the story of the game. A personal foul on each team led to touchdowns for both teams, respectively, and with this being such a low-scoring game, they were vital.
Yeah, 24-17 is low for these teams. What was going on there?
Well, the constant rain didn't help, but both teams' drives were really, really long. Only 1 punt and no turnovers in the first half, and it was 16-11 at the break. That's crazy.
So, what does this win mean for Waterford?
Well, Waterford was already a lock, like I said, for the playoffs, but according to Fantastic 50, they have a 93% chance to have a home game to start the tournament, which would put them at a number 4 seed. And the team they will most likely see is an 8-2 Bern Union team. There's a 93% chance of that happening too. And good news for Waterford fans, but unfortunately for Belpre fans, we have bad news for them because with this loss, they have been mathematically eliminated from any playoff hopes.
Certainly still a good season for them, though, at the Golden Eagles. Thank you, Nick. Twitter will be an important outlet for playoff content the next 3 weeks. Follow us at Gridiron Glory. You may also want to see our latest video highlighting the top 10 list for Gridiron Glory Player of the Year. From that list, we'll find our 5 finalists, which we reveal next week. That video is at the top of our page. You can't miss it. So give us a follow and check it out. For a year now, the FAC has belonged to Chillicothe. The Cavs have a chance to repeat, but the Ironmen are no stranger to conference titles either. These rivals rose up for our game of the week. So we're going to wrap up our regular season coverage with reporter Will Collins from the FAC.
Blake, this game had huge implications tonight. Not only was the FAC title on the line, but for both teams, win and you're in the playoffs. Lose and go home. These two teams left everything they had on the field tonight in Chillicothe. Now to take you right to the action, it was senior night. Here in Chillicothe, you see the team running out between the team of players. Those are their seniors there. And early on in the action, on third down, their third play of the game, Adrian Beverly flushed out of the pocket and gets taken down by a host of Iron Men defenders. Now on the ensuing fourth down, you see there's a bad punt snap there, and Jaquan Harris has to corral it. He makes some defenders miss, and he looks like he's going to turn it into something, but Bryce Graham takes him out before the first down. It's turnover on downs, and the Iron Men have favorable field position. A couple plays later, quarterback Jared Eisenhower keeps it himself, shows he can do it with his legs and not just his arm. He's in from 6 yards out. It's 6-0 Jackson after the missed PAT. Later on, after a Chillicothe 3-and-out, he hands the ball off to Brody Landrum, who plows over some Cavs defenders for a 14-yard gain, which sets up Jaden Spires. This man will not go down on his way to an 11-yard score after the PAT is good. It's 13-0 Jackson. And just when Jackson looked to be running away with it, Jared Eisenhower bobbles the snap and throws an interception to Christian Benson, who tries to give the Cavs some life, but they go 3 and out. And on Jackson's last drive of the half, they're driving. Eisenhower hits Spires, but no scores in the end of the half. They go into the locker room at 13-0, and the game ends 20-7 tonight, Blake.
Well, it looks like the Ironmen came to play on both sides of the ball. Which side do you think they had a bigger impact on tonight?
Well, Blake, the Iron Curtain defense showed up tonight. They allowed just 7 points and 136 yards of total offense.
Wow.
The front seven for the Ironmen really made their impact known early and often in this game. They allowed just 61 yards rushing on 30 attempts, 1 third down conversion on 13 attempts, and didn't allow a 4th down conversion on 9 Chillicothe attempts. To put it in perspective, the Ironmen only allowed Chillicothe to gain 7 first downs all night.
So I agree with you. It was the defense that showed out. It had to have been a complete performance.
It was a complete performance, Blake. It was a no-fly zone in Chillicothe as the Ironmen only allowed 75 yards in the passing game tonight. And with the regular season wrapped up as of tonight, it means we can crown an FAC champion, or rather 2 of them. With their win tonight, the Ironmen share the FAC title with the Hillsboro Indians. The FAC co-champions lost 1 game in their conference and win their first ever FAC championships. Washington Courthouse finds themselves at 3rd with 2 losses, and after losing to Jackson tonight and Courthouse last week, Chillicothe finds themselves at 4th in the conference with 2 losses after winning the FAC crown last season. McLean finishes at 5 with 1 win in the league, and Miami Trace finishes last with no conference wins. Now, we look forward to seeing the Ironmen back in the playoffs and the Hillsboro Indians in for the first time since 2005.
Yes, we are. Thank you a lot, Will. Before we get to your important playoff matchups, we have to run through the top plays from tonight. It's the final edition of top plays from the regular season, so let's just roll right on into them. Number 3, Philo and New Lexington. This is a Logan Ratliff pass you're about to see. It's intended for Connor Back. He and Casey Munyon are both going to tip this one, even though you can't see him. That's CJ Ratliff back there in the end zone. 13-yard touchdown catch. And number 2, you saw this one as well. A little trickeration on purpose this time. Zane Heiss in at quarterback, and if Peyton Stevens sold that fake, and Zane Heiss rolls in, across the chalk for 9 yards, that was a touchdown. Fooled everybody, including the cameraman here. That's a great touchdown. Puts them up 16-11 at the half, and they go on to win. And number 1, another return touchdown here. This one belongs to Alec Ogle. Sprinting through that Morgan defense, and Michael Phelps with the swim moves. Nobody's going to touch him. He's going to go 69 yards. Real nice return touchdown to start that second quarter, and they go on to win big as well. So, we made it through 10 weeks, folks. But for 8 or 9 of our teams, the fun is just getting started.
Yeah, the rankings we have come from Joe Idle, so they're not official, but let the postseason party begin. Our first look at a nearly final playoff bracket is in Division II, Region 7. The Tri-Valley Scotties are unofficially in. Kevin Fell led the 9-1 Scotties to his first playoff appearance with the team. They sit as the 7 seed currently and will face off against Barberton next week.
Now in Division 3, Hillsboro, first appearance since 2005. They're going to play Eastmore Academy. And Sheridan is another seed in their Division 3 Region 11. They're likely a 6 seed, and they're going to head to Bellbrook. Jackson is also in unofficially, going to Granville for a date with Justin Buttermore coached Granville. Athens is also unofficially clinched. They snuck in as the 8 seed.
Next up, Division 4, where John Glenn will get another crack at the best from Region 15. Little Muskies with a rematch against Bloom Carroll next Saturday. That's all we've got in Division 4.
And we have the potential for 3 teams to make the playoffs in Region 27. 2 are in for sure. Trimble has some guaranteed home game, probably against Fisher Catholic, and right now Waterford is slated to go on the road to Berne Union. Southern controls their own destiny with a win tomorrow night. Now that's all we got. So join us in Week 11 when it goes down. Until then, remember there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.